Hello and welcome to this Yin Yoga practice. Today we're going to move through a practice for the spine, an important part of the body both physically and also energetically. So we're going to work through lengthening through the whole length of the spine, opening, softening, and then a little bit of twisting and through the side body as well. So please grab any props that you would like to use. Suggestions would be I have a bolster to sit on here, and then I also have a blanket, or you can have a folded up towel if you like a prop to sit onto to support the body. And then we also have a seated forward fold. So if you'd like to use a chair or if you have a bolster, you're welcome to use that depending on what feels better for you and whatever resources you have available for you today. So go ahead and set up your space, get all of your props ready, and then we'll settle in. So welcome. Find yourself in a nice comfortable seat. So that could be sitting on the ground or onto a support. If kneeling feels better for you, more than welcome to come into a kneeling position. And just rest the hands down wherever feels comfortable for you. And then when you're ready, softening down the eyes. You can take a little wriggle through the body, a roll through the shoulders, maybe a roll through the head. Take any adjustments you need here. And then allow yourself to settle into stillness. Giving yourself a moment or two to arrive into your space. To ground the body into the earth beneath you. And then to sit a little taller through the spine, the shoulders come up and back down, leaving lots of length through the back of the neck. Crown of the head reaches towards the ceiling. And then just start to tune into your breath. Just noticing the breath as you breathe in. Noticing the breath as you breathe out. No changing, no controlling of the breath here. Just getting reacquainted. Tuning into how the breath feels in your body today. And then as you start to settle into the breath a little more, perhaps the breath starts to lengthen and deepen just naturally. Perhaps each exhale allows the body to soften where it is a little more. You have the option to just stay as you are, to just enjoy this natural rhythm and awareness of your breath. Or there is also the invitation to start to cultivate a visualization with our breath to help lengthen and open through the spine, both physically and through the energy channel that runs along this part of the body. So in the next moment or two, softly guiding your awareness down to the tip of the tailbone. And then the next time you breathe in, imagine drawing that breath from tip of the tailbone all the way up the length of the body to the crown of the head. And then as you exhale, let the breath trickle all the way back down the spine, back to the tip of the tailbone. Inhale, draw the breath from the tip of the tailbone all the way to the crown of the head. Let the body sit a little taller. And then exhale, let the breath trickle all the way back down. Inhale, let the breath travel from tailbone to crown. Exhale, breath from crown back down to tailbone. Inhale, drawing breath from tailbone up to crown. Let the body sit a little taller, find a little more length. Exhale, breath travels all the way back down, letting the body soften once again. Staying here for a few more rounds, just resting in your own rhythm and pace of breath. And when the mind wanders, that's okay. Just observing and acknowledging that. And then guide your awareness back to the breath. Inhale, drawing the breath from tailbone up to crown. Exhale, breath travels from crown back down to tailbone. Anchor back into the breath and the visualization as many times as you need. As you inhale, you let the breath move all the way up this space, opening, expanding, and clearing any stagnant energy, any blockages along this path. And then using the breath out, we allow everything to soften and surrender along this path on the way back down. Take another 3 cycles of breath here. And then when you've taken those 3 breaths, softly let that breath and visualization go. Take a few moments without that anchor, seeing how that feels. Taking a final breath in through the nose here. And a big sigh out through the mouth. We'll do that one more time. Big breath in. And big breath out. And then you can go ahead and softly flicker the eyes back open. We'll transition from a seated position over to our first yin shape. So we're going to come over into melting heart. So coming off your seated position, just moving any props off your mat over to the side that you're not using. And then we're going to come over onto all fours. So we're going to allow a little bit of space between the knees. And then we're going to keep the hips over the knees and walk the arms forward. So your arms could be in line with the shoulders, or you can take them a little bit wider. That's okay as well. And you're welcome to play with both of those options. And then we're going to let the front line of the body soften towards the ground. And you can let forearms and elbows soften to the ground here, forehead towards the earth. If the ground feels a little far away, you can pop a pillow or your blanket underneath the forehead just to give you a little extra space. And then if having forehead to the ground feels like there's not enough space for you, you're welcome to turn onto one cheek. That's okay as well. Take any little wriggles through the toes, through the fingers, a little rock through the hips, a little roll of the forehead side to side. And then coming back to stillness. Taking a big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Settling into this shape. Letting go through any muscles or spaces that are holding on that don't need to be here. And then every time you take your breath in, imagine the back of the heart space lifting up and an expansion being created through the spine and the chest. And then every time you breathe out, allow the front of the heart space to soften and draw towards the earth. Allowing that sensation, that shape to melt through the spine and the chest. And if you have your head turned, you could stay there, or you're welcome to turn over onto the other cheek. Taking a moment to notice whether the body feels like it's softening and surrendering into the shape, or whether
The sensations seem to be growing a little more the longer we stay here. And both experiences are valid and okay. Whatever is present for you, just observing and acknowledging that. We'll take another 3 to 5 cycles of breath here. Finishing here with one final big breath in and a final big sigh out. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly start to transition out. If you have your head turned to one side, just bringing the head back to center. And then pressing hands and forearms into the ground to lift yourself up and forward, shifting the weight forward. Then a couple of options here. You might like to roll all the way down onto the belly and rest there. You might like to come back to a child's pose. Arms can be out long or beside the body. Or you might like to just come back to a kneeling position. And then softening the eyes down wherever you are. And letting the weight and the body soften and let go here once again. And then allowing this space to bring forward any sensations, any energy or shifts that you notice here as the body integrates the shape. And this in-between space can be just as potent as the actual shapes themselves. So ensuring we take this space in between and we honor that space. Not needing to do anything here, but just be. Just allow the body to do what it needs to do. Even if that's beneath the surface where we can't immediately see it. Taking another few more breaths here. And wherever you are in the next few moments, slowly transitioning back to a seated position. If you'd like to stay here a little longer, you can, and then you can meet when you're ready. Otherwise, coming over to a seated position. And this is where you might like to utilize your chair if you have one.
So using the chair in the forward fold, you'll position yourself in front of the chair and then fold forward and let the forehead rest onto the chair. So it just provides a little bit of support for the body so the head's not hanging in space. If you would like to sit onto a folded towel or blanket, that could be a really great option to just bring a little length through the lower back and help to tilt the pelvis forward, tilt the hips forward. And then of course, if you have a bolster, you're welcome to use that. So if you're using the blanket, just coming to sit on the edge of that blanket so it tilts the hips forward. And then we're going to bring soles of the feet together, knees wide. So you can bring the feet quite close into the groin, or you might leave a little bit more space and bring the feet further out, whatever feels best for you. Options to bring some pillows underneath the knees if they feel like they need a little bit of extra support there. And then either folding forward onto your chair, or if you have a bolster or other pillows, you might place them across the lap, fold forward that way, maybe head into the hands, or perhaps bolster to the floor or onto the feet, and then connecting top of the bolster to the forehead. So you rest the head down and then just release the arms. Finding somewhere that feels really spacious so you can let the spine soften and round forward. So feel free to have a bit of a play with that. Have a play with the angles of your legs, your feet. Take as much movement and exploration as you need in this first few moments. And then when you're ready, softening the eyes down, coming back to stillness. Taking a nice big breath in through the nose. And then a big breath out through the mouth. And let yourself soften into the shape. Tailbone melts down into the earth. Whole of the right leg softens and releases. And the whole of the left leg softens and releases. Unclenching and letting go completely through the belly and the hips. And then on your next breath out, let the spine round, the shoulders dip and round forward a little more. Allowing your supports to take the full weight of the head. And then like we did before, each time the mind wanders, inhale, find a little subtle lift, and then exhale, melts into the shape.
Noticing if there's any clenching or holding on through the jaw to allow us to stay here. And if there is, that's okay. Just creating that awareness and then softening through that space. Staying here for another 5 cycles of breath. And let go a little more on each of those final breaths. And then when you've taken your 5 rounds of breath and you're ready to come out, slowly start to transition the body out. You might like to bring one hand to the forehead to act as a little guide for the body to slowly roll all the way back up. And once you come back to a neutral spine, you might even just take a breath or two there. And then if you have any props on you, just softly moving that to the side. And then taking a hand underneath each leg just to guide legs back together and bring them out long just for a couple of moments. You might come straight into stillness. You might walk the legs out a couple of times. And then if you're on a support, if you're seated on a support, just coming off that, placing that to the side. And then gently making your way all the way down onto the back. So just clearing any props that you need, and then we'll all meet down onto the back. And once you make your way down onto the back, you might like to keep the feet to the floor, or you might like to bring the legs long. Enjoying this space, noticing any sensations, any pulsing or rushing of energy. Taking another breath or two here. And then if your legs aren't already, just
bringing the legs out long. I'm going to move into our next shape, which will be Banasana. So we're creating a crescent moon shape with the body. So we'll start by opening through the right side. So just starting to walk the feet over to the left side of your mat, to left side of your space. And then walking the head, the shoulders, the torso over to the left side of your mat or your space. So you're creating a banana shape through that right side. It can be quite subtle or it can be quite dynamic, up to you. You can keep feet side by side, or if you want to anchor one ankle over the other, you're welcome to do that. And then with your hands might rest onto the belly. You might rest arms by the sides. Or if it feels okay, you might like to bring arms overhead towards the right. You can try each one of those options, that's okay. Taking a little movement, a little exploration. And then softening the eyes down, settling back into stillness. Letting go through the entire body, letting it sit and rest where it is. And then each time you breathe in, breathe into that right side of the body, creating openness and expansion through the spine, through the side body. And each time you breathe out, let the spine and the whole side body soften and surrender. Inhale to open and create space. And exhale to soften and surrender. Taking another few breaths here. And then if you have the arms overhead, in the next moment or two, just softly bringing the arms back in by the sides, unhooking the ankles, and then walking the legs and the torso back to center. You might like to place feet to the floor and lift the hips up and back down to recenter the spine. Taking a full breath in, full breath out. And then transitioning straight into a reclined twist, working through the same side. So you can go ahead and bring your arms out by the sides here. And then lift the feet off the floor and bring the knees above the hips. And then just let your knees roll down to the left side of you. Now you can bring legs down onto the mat straight there. You might like a support underneath that bottom leg, or you might even place a pillow or your blanket in between the thighs for extra support there. Head can stay centered, or you might even like to turn the head towards the right side. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Do that one more time. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then allow your body to melt down into this shape and melt down into each corner of your mat. Enjoy another 5 cycles of breath here. And then when you've taken those cycles of breath, bring your head back to center. And then bring knees back to center. You might just lift one leg at a time, or you might bring both legs back to center at the same time. You might bring hands to the knees, maybe a little rock side to side here, or perhaps some circles with the knees. Or you might like to just bring feet back to the floor, or legs long and just come back to stillness. Taking a little space in between sides here. Tuning into whatever is present here for you, whether that's sensation or energy or emotion. Staying here for a few more moments. But if you feel called to take a little more space here, more than welcome to. And then you can just meet me on the other side whenever you're ready to transition there. Otherwise, if you're ready to come to the other side, just bringing the legs long. And then walking the feet over to the right side of your mat. Opening through the left side body this time. And then walking torso, shoulders and head over to the right. Creating that banana shape through the left side body this time. And you can keep feet side by side, maybe ankle comes over the top. And then find a position that works for you with the arms. And it can be different or the same to the first side. Take as much movement and exploration here in those first few moments. And then settling back into stillness. Anchoring back into the breath as you inhale, breathing into the left side to open and create space. And then exhaling as we breathe out to soften and surrender. And you might stay with that just for 1 or 2 rounds of breath. Or you might stay with that for the entire hold. Breathing in, creating space and opening and lengthening through that left side. And then exhaling to completely soften and relax. Staying for just another few rounds of breath, letting go where you can. And then if you have the arms above the head, just bringing the arms back into the body. Unhooking the ankles and walking the legs and the torso back to center. Again, you might like to place feet to the floor, lift the hips up and back down. Take a breath or 2 here in the center. And then moving into our reclined twist on the other side. You can bring the arms out to the sides and just adjust in your space. Bring the arms out, lift the knees up, and then roll the knees down over to the right side. Again, if you want to use the support underneath that bottom leg or in between the thighs, you can. And the head can rest in the center, or head can turn to the left. And then just softening the eyes down. Take a big breath into the body. And a big breath out. One more time, big breath in. And big breath out. And then give yourself permission to completely let go. Let the whole entire body relax. Let the whole entire body melt into the shape and into the earth beneath you. Staying here for another 3 to 5 rounds of breath. And then when you've taken those breaths, bringing the head back to center and the knees back to the center of the body. And again, you might hug the knees into the chest or maybe take a few rocks or circles with the knees. Taking as much time here as you like. Or if you're ready, transitioning yourself into our final resting pose, Shavasana. So you can just let your arms come out by the sides, legs come long. If you would like any supports here, more than welcome to grab those, perhaps a support underneath the knees or the head, or if you want to grab a blanket, you can do that. And then taking any final wriggles or movements that you feel called to take. And then settling back into stillness one final time in our practice together today. Softening the eyes down. Taking a big breath in through the nose. And a big sigh out. A big breath in. And a big breath out. One more round just like that in your own time. Allowing that final big exhale to melt you and surrender you into Shavasana. Allowing you the space for your body to integrate all of those shapes and to rest between the shapes and re-entering your day. You're welcome to stay in this surrendered state, stay in this space for as long as you feel called to do so. Or if you're ready to transition out, and just start to slowly allow your awareness to guide you back into the space. Reconnecting with the sounds, reconnecting with your breath, reconnecting with your physical body, and welcoming back in any subtle movements in the body you feel called to take. And then softly rolling over onto one side and just rest there for a few moments. And then whenever you're ready, you can make your way back up and back into your day in your own time, in your own pace, at your own rhythm.